Hi everyone, and welcome to this YouTube channel. My name is Penny, and this is Penny's Coding Bits. This channel is dedicated to bring you weekly bite-sized videos with practical solutions to your everyday data analytical challenges. And this video is going to walk you through an R Shiny app that helps individuals with corporations on their death to make decisions to plan for their Canadian estate tax. And this app only has two questions. The first one is, do you intend on winding up your corporation? And if the user answers yes, then the pipeline with wind up bump strategy is recommended for them. And if they answer no, the next question pops up. And this says, do you expect to have accumulated capital gains or dividends received from large Canadian corporations in your corporation or taxes paid on dividends in the history of your corporation? And if they answer yes, then the system would recommend the loss carryback strategy for their tax planning. And if they answer no, then the app would recommend to use the pipeline strategy for the individual's estate tax planning. So let's just have a quick look at the code that supports this decision making app. So the structure for this app is quite simple. So the first chunk of the code has to do with the user interface, and I am going to cover myself for a little bit so that you could see the code with the front end user interface design. You could see that the title panel corresponds with the title on the app, and the sidebar layout is related to the questions that the app asks the user to input answers for. And that includes the do you intend on winding up your corporation, which is the first question. And the choices include yes or no. And if they answer no, then the UI output, the user interface output, will throw the next question to the user to answer. And we also have the send button, which is here. And we also have the main panel with the recommendation details and additional information. And we also have the if statements to use the part of the user interface up above so that only when the wind up question is answered no, that the second question pops up. Otherwise, this second question does not appear on the app. Therefore, the return is null. And the most important part of this app has to do with the recommendations. And the recommendations are being displayed on the app based on this if statement chunk. So when the wind up question is equal to yes, then the wind up bump strategy is displayed on the app. And the accumulated gains question, when it's answered yes, which is the second question, then the loss carryback strategy is displayed on the app. Otherwise, the pipeline strategy is recommended on the app. And that's all to this app. And if we just come back to this, let's just have a little more detailed walkthrough on each recommendation. So let's go back to the pipeline with wind up bump strategy. So this involves transferring the deceased shares to a holding company. So a holding company is basically a company that doesn't have any business activity other than investments. So it holds assets and it generates income from assets. And this is followed by a dissolution of the corporation into this newly incorporated holding company. And the dissolution is permitted to be tax deferred when both the parent and the subsidiary are taxable Canadian corporations and the parent owns no less than 90% of each class of the sub's shares on wind up. And so this is basically all the steps to this wind up bump strategy. And one important thing to wrap up this whole process is to obtain a clearance certificate on the dissolution once all the steps to complete the dissolution are complete, so that everything's cleared with the Revenue Canada, so that there's no outstanding items on the tax end to cover with the tax authority. And you can see that this is followed up by the additional information paragraph that we have here that I had tagged on to all of the recommendations. So let's just have a bit more detailed walk through this, because this is applying to essentially all the estate planning situations. So you should always consider designating the trust arising as a result of an individual's death to be a graduated rate estate, because it allows for the creation of a separate taxpayer eligible for the graduated marginal tax rate for the first 36 months of the estate's existence. And any income taxed in the estate after this period will be subject to the highest marginal tax rate. So that could be a significant tax savings if you are using the graduated marginal tax rate instead of taxing all of the income in this trust at the highest marginal tax rate. And the graduated rate estate may have non-calendar year ends and is not required to make quarterly tax installments. So that is a significant advantage over the trust that has highest marginal tax rate and is bound to the calendar year and is required to make quarterly tax installments. So make sure you pay attention to this option for your estate planning if you are a Canadian or subject to Canadian estate tax. And one deceased person may only have one estate, and the designation must be made in the estate's first tax year, ending after 2015 to be eligible. And so timing is very important. So make sure you designate in the first tax year after death, and late file designations may be accepted. So here, I want to differentiate between late filed designations and the first year of the estate to designate. So you could file late and CRA may accept it, because I have done it before, but you need to file in the first tax year, meaning you haven't filed in this estate's name before in some other instance that is filed without a designation. Clear? So be sure to instruct in your will to allow for the election to make use of the graduated rate estate. So the next one would be no on winding up corporation, and we do expect to have accumulated capital gains or dividends received from large Canadian corporations or paid taxes on dividends in the corporation's history. So the recommendation for this situation would be the loss carryback strategy, and this would involve you, the taxpayer, dispose shares of your corporation to your estate on your final personal tax return for the shares fair market value at that time. And the corporation will then redeem the shares held by the estate, causing a deemed dividend and a capital loss. So deemed dividend is the difference between fair market value and paid up capital of the shares. And capital loss is between the adjusted cost base of the shares and the paid up capital of the shares. So two different definitions that is related to redeeming the shares held by the estate. So the loss will then be carried back to your final personal tax return to eliminate the capital gain realized when the shares are disposed in the first sentence of this paragraph. So the first sentence of this paragraph says the taxpayer disposes of the shares of your corporation to the estate on your final personal tax return. And your expected accumulated capital gains or dividends received from large Canadian corporations in your corporation or taxes paid on dividends will provide further tax efficiencies on the deemed dividend triggered in the second sentence of this paragraph. So the second sentence says the corporation will then redeem the shares held by the estate, causing a deemed dividend. So this deemed dividend without any tax balances coming from any of these items here will be taxable. So if you have any of these in your corporation's history, then you will likely erase or completely eliminate the tax on the deemed dividend triggered in this sentence. So that's what that says. And I have also included the paragraph on the graduated rate estate. And let's check out the last strategy. And I would say this is probably the most commonly used strategy in Canadian estate planning. So this would involve you, the taxpayer, disposing shares of your corporation to your estate on your final personal tax return for the shares fair market value at that time. And the estate then sells its shares of your corporation to a newly incorporated corporation in exchange for a promissory note. So this is not shares, but a note saying you owe me. And nominal common shares of the new corporation. And intercorporate dividends would then be declared by your original corporation to the new corporation, which are tax-free, and the dividends received by the new corporation would then be used to repay the promissory note held by the estate. And several things to be clear on this strategy before you implement it are: keep your original corporation operating as before for at least 1 year after the transfer of its shares from your estate to the new corporation to avoid a possible deemed dividend on its wind-up, discontinuance, or reorganization. So this is being pulled from bulletins that Canada Revenue has published, and we have found that several of the cases where the corporation was wound up within a year after the transfer, and they deemed this dividend to be paid out and it's subject to tax. So make sure that you keep your original corporation operating as before for at least 1 year after the transfer. So this is being incorporated into this first question. So if you answered no, then this would point you to this recommendation. Otherwise, it would not take you here at all. And the lifetime capital gains exemption claimed on your final personal tax return could also result in a deemed dividend from your corporation. So deemed dividend is really the key word in this strategy. And to avoid them, you need to make sure these 2 points are taken care of. so that we can achieve maximum tax efficiency in this scenario. So I hope this clears up some of the confusions around Canadian estate planning involving corporations and this code structure that you could adapt essentially to any concept that you want to convey that fits into a decision tree structure. So I hope you find this video helpful. I'll see you in the next video.